It's almost halfway through February, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about what my creative goals for 2026 are. I almost didn't share this video because I was worried that it was too late in the year to share, but I changed my mind. I don't think it is ever too late to set intentions or to set goals. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about what my creative goals are for 2026. So if you're anything like me and you have finally come back to life after the holidays and the cold weather, and you're finally ready to sit down and start thinking about how you want to approach your art making this year, why don't you sit down with me? I'm going to talk about what I'm thinking about and what I'm doing, and maybe you can think a little bit about what you want to do, and we can try to figure this all out together. If you're new here, I'm an artist who took a really long break from making art. And at the end of last year, I started making little baby steps towards making art a more central focus in my life. And I have continued to do that throughout the beginning of 2026. And I want to start building foundations that are going to get me further along in that goal. So like I said, I started taking little baby steps last year, but 2026 is the first year that I'm starting off fresh with having art as my central focus for the whole year. I think it's really easy for me to start off the new year staying focused and thinking about things that need to be better or need to be different or that I need to change. And I find myself thinking so much about a future version of me or future goals that sometimes I forget to appreciate the good habits and the good things that I have already introduced into my life. So before I get into what I want to do differently or what I want to grow into in 2026, I do want to take a moment just to reflect on some of the good habits that I introduced last year and that I want to bring with me into this year, because I do want to think of this not as making brand new habits or changing everything about my life, but I want to be building an art foundation and a creative foundation that every year I can grow and build onto, if that makes sense. So my first good habit that I started in 2025 is establishing a daily drawing practice. It is one of the things that made the biggest difference for me last year. I hadn't drawn regularly for years and years and years, and I have made it a part of my daily routine now, or almost daily. So I've got a sketchbook, it lives on my desk, I keep it right next to all of my stuff, so it's very easy to pull it out. And I sit down every day and I draw from a reference, or I will doodle, or if I really just don't know what to do, I'll just grab out some paints or some crayons or some watercolors and just kind of go at it and just put something down on the page. Just trying to really focus on building the habit of making something, anything daily, just to get that creative side of my brain firing. And most days I'm having so much fun at my time limit. I set a 20-minute time limit for this, that I'm committing to 20 minutes only. But most days I'm having so much fun at the 20-minute mark that I keep going for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and I really get sucked into the activity that I'm doing. And on the days where I'm not having fun, I just do my 20 minutes. That's all I've committed to. And I move on with my life. It's no big deal if I'm not happy with what I did or I'm over it. I just move on. It's like taking vitamins almost. I really feel like I'm taking my art vitamins every time that I sit down and draw for my 20 minutes. I'm checking something off the box. And so if you are struggling with creativity or you're struggling to try to get more art in your life, I know that having a daily drawing routine is probably one of the most suggested pieces of advice, but I cannot tell you how good it has been for me. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody who wants more art in their life. Just sit down with a piece of paper every day and put something on it. It was awesome for me. The second good habit that I want to bring into 2025 is continuing to share YouTube videos. I started sharing videos at the end of last year, kind of on a whim because I thought it looked really fun, and I had been watching a lot of knitters and fiber artists sharing stuff, and I just found it very inspiring and cool to get to see a creative outlet for these people that were working on things in their homes primarily. And I shared a few things and I just got such a kick out of it, and I had so much fun doing it. And it has been a very cool way for me to show and tell about the work that I'm working on. And it's been really helping me stay accountable to the things that I have committed to as far as making art. And I think it also, having the creative format of having to tell a story through a video, has kind of given me a little bit of a creative spark. And I've just been having so much fun, and it's been really giving me a lot of joy to work on videos. So I will definitely be continuing sharing YouTube videos in 2026 and trying to have that be a part of my like creative experience. And the last good habit that I started doing in 2025 that I'm going to talk about today and that I want to very intentionally bring into 2026 is something that I've been calling gentle brainstorming. So I've been doing a lot of little projects and not really pushing myself to do like big finish object projects or things that have like a deadline or even really a purpose. They're just kind of things that I'm drawing and doodling around on because I've been trying to keep art very low pressure. A huge part of my time away from making art was that I was kind of feeling like a little bit overwhelmed and stressed out by it. So I've been very intentionally keeping things very low stakes, very low pressure, just fun. And that's been very good for me. But I have also been doing this gentle brainstorming, and it is truly like letting my mind wander on how I might do a larger project or how something could happen if I were to work on it. And it's almost like a creative daydream where I'm just sort of following the path that my mind is laying out. And, you know, if I have a really great idea from it, I'll write it down and maybe I'll work on it. But a lot of times this is just like, I'm just letting like the wheels turn and I'm not putting the brakes on. And often it spins out into like just absolute unreality. But it's been very stimulating for me creatively, and I feel like it's given me some very good ideas. And even if maybe by the time that I get to the end of my gentle brainstorming, it's gone too far, if I take it back a couple of steps, it's something that's very achievable for me. And I think just like allowing my brain to move creatively without putting too much pressure on coming up with something has been very good. And I want to continue that and keep allowing myself sort of like that low pressure, wandering, creative thought. So that's what's been going good so far and some of the things that I loved that I did in 2025. But now I want to talk about growth in 2026. And that is how I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about growth. I'm thinking about continuing in the direction that I am going and strengthening what I have already built. I want to grow out and I want to grow stronger. So the big thing for me in 2026 is I simply want to make more. I just want to make more of everything. And I really want to push myself. At the end of 2025, as I said, I took a really gentle, low pressure approach to making art, and I tried really hard not to stress myself out about it and to make it just fun and take any like negative feeling or association away from the process. And I feel like that's what I really needed. I needed something that was just fun and could be good, could be bad, could be nothing, and going from there. But now I feel like it's time to take what I have built and maybe not put the pressure back in, but start trying to use it to come up with some stuff that I want to share with others and that has a little bit more of a finished product to it. I want to sit down and I want to make things that I can share with people that are going to go out into the world. I'm calling it a finished product. So, you know, posters or projects that are for things. That's what I want to do. I want to make projects that are for things and maybe projects that I have to work a little harder on, that take a little more time, that take a little bit more effort in the sense that it requires, you know, rough drafts and edits and things that are more like long-term process projects, not just sitting down and working on something for a couple of hours and calling it done. There's nothing wrong with that. And I want to do more of the silly sit down and do whatever art too. I just want to make more in general. I want to make more good stuff. I want to make more bad stuff. I want to make more beautiful stuff. And I want to make more ugly stuff. And I think that the best thing that I can do this year is just like take the art making faucet and like crank it all the way open and just like let it all pour out. That's what I want. So priority number one is just make more of everything, make more, make more, make more. That is what I want for myself, is just to make as much as possible and really enjoy the process of making. Priority number two, the next thing that I want to focus on is I want to focus on not only making more stuff, but improving my skill on the things that I do make. So With knitting, which I love to do and I have gotten a lot better at, I really want to focus on learning new techniques and improving some of the skills that I need to have to do those techniques. So I have done a whole lot in stockinette, a whole lot in garter. I've done different garments and I've learned about, different constructions and stuff, but I have kind of continued to shy away from things that I think are too hard for me or too complicated or whatever. So this year, I don't want to go absolutely crazy and do every single type of knitting thing that you can do, but I do want to grow and I want to challenge myself. So a couple of things that I would really like to focus on this year, I would really like to learn how to do a brioche stitch and work on a couple of brioche projects. I really love the way that they look when they're finished. I think it's just like such a cool and weird way to have different colors in a project. And I also would like to learn about intarsia and kind of just start adding to my tool kit, I guess, with knitting is I want to pick some things where I'm learning how to do new stuff and keep building sort of my collection of skills with knitting and get better and better. That's what I want. I would really like also to keep learning about self-drafting patterns and modifying existing patterns and see if I can build some like technical skills in the garment construction as well. I seriously doubt I will ever be designing knitting patterns. That's really not anything that I see myself doing, but I think it'd be very cool to come up with some stuff where maybe I can make something that's truly one of a kind that I thought of in my brain and then I made it. I just think that's like such a cool thing. Other skills that I want to build. So I have a degree in screen printing and I actually have been working on building an at-home printing setup. I have a dark room, it's my bathroom, but dark room, and I have a light table and I have technically all of the supplies needed to make an at-home screen printing studio, but I haven't really figured out all the details of how to do it. So a big thing for me is I want to kind of formalize my process for how to set up the studio and get it running so that I can then be printing posters and things like that. So that's something that I will probably end up sharing once I get it running and kind of like figure it out. But that's not necessarily building a screen printing skill, but building the skill to like come up with how it will all work. I want to work on my painting and my drawing skills and not just do like the playful doodling and having fun, but also try to build sort of my skill set in color theory and shading and perspective and some more of like the technical foundational skills in art. So I'll be adding in more drawing exercises to my daily art vitamins. I'll still have fun art time, but I will include some regular and routine, more technical exercises. And I also love making comics, but I find that I tend to struggle a lot with the narrative or storytelling element of comics. I am very visual. I am not much of a writer. And so I want to see if I can work on building some like narrative and storytelling skills because I feel like a lot of times the reason that I don't make as many comics or make as much like comic book art as I'd like is because not that I feel like I have nothing to say, but I feel like I just don't know how to say it with words. So that's something that I would really like to work on this year is becoming a better written storyteller so that I can then further like the comic and zine type of art that I want to make. My next priority for 2026 is that I want to get my art out in the world. Now this kind of ties into the simply making more art and getting better at it, but I want to make stuff that goes places. I don't make art with the intention of keeping it in my journal or in my house. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't necessarily need to exit the sketchbook and doesn't need to go anywhere. But what makes me really happy about making art is that I then get to share it with other people. So I want to make things that I'm happy about and that I want to distribute somehow. So when I make zines, I want to make zines with the intention of them having an audience, even if I just end up dropping them off at like a little free library, or there are a couple of bookstores that might have more of an arts focus that have like a free pile. I'm not looking to sell any of my zines or anything like that right now. I don't want that kind of setup at the moment, but I do want to make stuff that other people are going to see. So I want to make things for the world. So zines going out. Once I get my screen printing set up, I want to be trying to do like small runs of shirts or posters or like tote bag merch style stuff, and see if I can get involved maybe in some groups that are interested in having things like that. I want to start putting myself out there, I guess, in a way. I think that 2025 was a lot about me finding my creative self and kind of looking inward, and that was really good. But I think I'm ready to start looking outward again and see about like finding some physical spaces where I can be sharing what I'm doing with people. And sharing the videos is a huge part of that, where, even if I'm not putting my stuff out every single day all the time, it is really cool to get to feel like I'm like show and telling with you. So this is part of it too, is just I want to put my art in front of people and let people enjoy it with me and not make it such an independent project for myself. And the last priority that I have on my mind for 2026, and this is a big one for me, but it's I want to invest in my art. So I'm really quick for some reason not to spend money on my art and instead use it on something that I think is more practical. And I'm not advocating to spend blindly on stuff that I don't need or just like trendy stuff, but I'm really trying to break the habit of treating my art like something that is not worth investing my money on. So if I have something like an art supply or a material that I would really like to use and then I know that I'll use, or even like I know that I need and I need a replacement of, I am going to give myself permission to buy it. I don't intend to go on a shopping spree, and I actually have a lot of supplies that I want to use up and I simply do not intend to replace, like stuff that I didn't like that much or stuff that I have kind of moved on from creatively. So I'm not giving myself like a free pass to just like go wild at the art supply store. But I do feel like treating my art like something that is worth spending my money on is an important way for me to grow as an artist. I need to see myself and my art as something that is worth investing in and something that is important enough to spend my money on. And I do in my mind feel that way, but my actions haven't reflected that. So this year, if I need something to make the art that I want to make, I'm allowed to buy it within reason. So I know that a lot of these goals are a little bit intangible and a little bit like internal, like feelings-based goals, but really the way that I am thinking about my goals for this year is not in deadlines and due dates and finished products and finished projects, because I do want to give myself wiggle room to play and to sort of follow my creative whimsy, but I really want to think about how I'm thinking about making art and how I'm approaching art. And I think that if I stay focused on these goals, then by the end of the year, I will have developed some additional really good habits to then carry on with me into the next year, because progress is not something that you like check off the box and then you did it. I think it's all about micro adjusting and truly like building, like I've been talking about, is that you can't just start a habit out of the blue with no context and have it stick and have it be like meaningful, in my opinion. I think that habits grow where they like collect and collect and collect, and then 5 or 6 years down the road you've made all of these like mini choices and like tiny adjustments, and maybe you started one way and you've grown into something that's like exactly what you wanted or maybe totally different from what you wanted. But yeah, so I'm focusing on my internal approach to art, and I'm thinking that if I stay focused on the internal feelings and actions, then perhaps they will flow outward into the art that I am making. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe that it helped you think a little bit about how you want to approach your art making this year. And if it resonated with you, consider subscribing. I'm really interested in creating a community of people that are interested in staying inspired and inspiring one another. And if that's you, join us. I hope you're working on something that is making you happy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.